Welcome back, guys. It's costume time. In today's video, I am going to take you through how I made my daughter's costume for Halloween. She went as Travis Barker. Let's go ahead and get started. If you're new to this channel, you should know I love Halloween. It is my favorite holiday of all of the choices. My mom always DIY'd our costumes when I was little and passed it on to us, so we all just love to just go all out for Halloween. That being said, I've had a very, very busy schedule this Halloween and hadn't had enough time to really go in on her costume like I wanted to. So this was actually her backup costume, and I still wish I could have done more, but I'm very happy with how it turned out, and it's probably one of my favorites. I was able to get my hands on a very large piece of cardboard, which if you like to DIY costumes, the months leading up to Halloween, I always try to see who's getting shipments and who has a very large piece of cardboard on hand that they're willing to donate to me, and then I store it until I'm ready to use it. This one, I'm going to be making a kick drum for the front of her wheelchair. I did want to make an entire set, however, I just did not have the time on my hands, and she also was pretty sick, and I needed to make sure I was taking care of her first. So I'm just going to walk you through how I made the kick drum, and then I'm also going to tell you how I would have made the other drums, just so that you guys are aware if you wanted to continue and make an entire set. I happen to have a 24-inch thin wood round just on hand, but if not, you can just make and draw a big circle. You can do the whole trick of a pencil on a string to make sure it's nice and symmetrical, but I'm just going to lay this down on a nice flat piece of this cardboard that I have, and I'm going to cut it out. I am using the little roller cutter that I picked up from Dollar Tree a while back, and it's working pretty well. I'm just going to use that to score the cardboard, and then I'm going to use a box cutter to go ahead and cut the rest of it out. So I'm just going to slowly go around in a circle, score it, remove the wood piece, pick it up very carefully, and always cut away from yourself. Cut all the way through and cut out that giant circle. This is going to be the face of the drum, so I'm going to paint it white. I'm just using some white acrylic paint and a nice smooth bristled brush and giving it 2 good coats. From there, I want to make the edges, so what would be like the metal band that would go around the drum, and I'm just going to do that by cutting off long pieces that I can glue around the edges. This piece isn't long enough to do it in one continuous motion, so I'm going to cut out 2, and I'm honestly just going to use where it flaps over. It's already kind of a natural place to cut. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to be using some gray metallic paint to paint this to kind of give it that metal look. I'm going to paint that up and let that dry, and then while that's drying, I'm going to create the front image that I want using my Cricut machine. My daughter has special needs. She is very unique. She is one of less than 500 people in the world with her syndrome. It is Pallister-Killian syndrome. We are PKS strong over here, and she is one of my heroes. She does things on her own time. She does them on her own terms. She is one of the strongest individuals I have ever met. And I didn't plan on this being emotional. That being said, she definitely goes to the beat of her own drum, and so that is the phrase that I'm going to be putting on the front of her kick drum. I am also going to be taking one of these images. I got this out of Canva. Canva.com is what I use to edit a lot of my stuff. I do have the pro version, so I'm going to take this image from there. I'm going to upload it into Cricut and make it a cut file. That way I can create this image for her. I cut it out and I weeded it out on some contact paper. I like to use contact paper on the washi sheet setting, and that gives me really good, cheap, but nice stencils. That way I can not waste all of my good vinyl. So I just cut that out, reverse weeded it, put it down in where I wanted it to do, and I'm going to be using some color shift. I don't know the color, but it's like this black gold multi-color shifting paint. That way when the light hits it, it kind of gives it a little bit of pizzazz, and it's not so boring. What you want to do is start out with, when you're stenciling, start out with a clear, like a Mod Podge, a polyacrylic, some type of clear base, or one that matches the base paint that you used. In this case, it would be my white acrylic paint. I'm going to use that and go ahead and do 1 round of stenciling all over this entire thing. That way I can seal in the stencil and have less bleeding whenever I do the actual color that I want. So I went ahead and did this, and I will tell you, a white contact paper or white stencil on top of a white background, I made some mistakes, but we were able to fix it. So once I was ready, I took that black shimmery color that I was using and I stenciled it on. I'm doing a rotating motion just with a stencil brush, and I'm doing that all over. And I did do that twice. I did 2 coats. I let the first one dry. I did the second coat, and then I did remove the large like outward piece of the stencil while it was wet, just to keep it from, you know, if it dries, sometimes you can get it, the paint starts peeling with it. So I wanted to avoid that, but I did let the inner pieces, you know, like the middle of the D part, I let that dry a little bit more just so I wasn't making a super big mess, and it came out beautiful, nice and clean, crisp lines. Once that was done, I wanted to go ahead and add the metal piece on, and I'm doing this with hot glue and patience. So with this, getting it started was definitely the hardest. On my second piece that I added, I went ahead and like pre-rolled it a little bit and broke that cardboard from wanting to lay flat to where it kind of had a natural curve to it, and that did help. So that would be a really good step to do prior to starting, but you're just gonna wanna do like 1 to 2 inches at a time. Let it dry, add it, kind of rotate it. So I'm doing it while it's standing up. So I did the first part when it was laying down in my lap just so I can line it up and get it started well. And from there, I was able to keep it up on its side, put the glue down, and then slowly roll it over and kind of adjust it as needed and help hold it there until the glue was dry enough to hold it in place. And then I just did this over and over. Now, I know you're gonna want to put a long thing of glue and do bigger sections, but what happens is because it is a circle, as you roll it onto the glue, you'll have the part that's touching the ground that's pushing nice and flat, and you'll have a part right here that's glued in nice and good, but you're gonna have a bow right here where it's not adhering because your glue is still wet and there's nothing pushing it onto it. So just do, like I said, like a probably 1 to 3 inch section depending on what you have set up here, and you're just going to do that all the way around. Now, if you're like me and you don't have a piece that was good enough, I tried to pre-plan this to where, you know, the edges where they meet wouldn't be at the top where you would see it, but it kind of still worked out that way. It was kind of off to the side a little, but I just pre-rolled that second piece and followed the same steps to do it, and then I did pull off little pieces of cardboard where those 2 pieces met. On the inside of it, I hot glued that down kind of just to make a joint. That way they weren't just, that they couldn't move or flap around. And then I took hot glue around the inside. I set it down on its face and I put hot glue all the way around where the 2 seams meet. That way it would just make it a little bit stronger and I didn't have to worry about it coming apart or there not being one section that was put together well enough. I'm sorry, had a hiccup there. So I did do that, and then I was just going to add it on with a string. I didn't do this on camera, but I just used a screwdriver to poke a hole, and my daughter's wheelchair has a tray, so I just put a string through underneath the tray and then back up over top of the tray and tied it to the drum on that metal piece to connect it to her wheelchair, and that worked really well because it had the lip of that metal, like faux metal, sat on her tray, and then the string kept it in place and it stayed perfectly. Now, if I were going to make a full drum set for her, I would do the exact same steps that I did, but then I'd also cut out another like long strip that's wider. That would be like the drum barrel of the drum. And I'd cut that out however wide I want it to be, or however tall you want your drums to be. Then paint that whatever color you want your drum to be. And then I would do the same steps as the other one, and then I would take it and hot glue to where the metal piece is. So here's the metal lip, here's the, you know, the face of the drum. I would put it on the inside of that and glue it to it. That way I could complete the barrel. I'm not sure exactly how I would attach that to her wheelchair. I was thinking probably dowel rods or something like that, but I didn't get that far. So I hope that's helpful just in an idea of like how to actually create them. And then for the rest of it, I just got busy on Amazon or the Halloween store to put her costume together. I really wanted her to look pretty authentic to what he looks. Tip, if you have a toddler and you want to paint their nails, do it while they're napping. That worked pretty well for us. She was out cold, so we painted her nails up, and then the rest of it, she was pretty nice about. She hasn't been feeling well, so she fought a little bit, but I will let you guys get to it. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed this look. If you don't know, Travis Barker was the drummer for Blink-182, and he's been going out on his own for the past few years, drumming for a ton of other people, including Machine Gun Kelly and several others. But with Blink-182 announcing that they are going to go back on tour and all of that, in the excitement, what else was I supposed to do? So without further ado, I will bring you guys in for a closer look. I appreciate you being here. Give my baby girl a thumbs up for bringing the attitude and hitting it perfectly. And subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much if you're not. If you're returning, I love ya. See you next time.